Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, please hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, so each time I upload a new video you're going to be the first to come and watch. And if you're returning, welcome. So I'm in a series of questions. Like, I'm going to be talking mostly on questions that I'm giving answers to certain questions. And so if you're going to be watching this one, just know that you're in the first of all of the questions that will be coming ahead. Well, in today's video I was thinking about how to develop better communication skills. I think that communication skills is very necessary for every individual, and that's something that you need to develop by time and by the day. And I remember one time one of my mothers, she called me. She was like, "Lydia, I watch your videos and I'm noticing something. This is something about you that never happened before. You hardly would communicate, and I'm so happy to see you be expressive enough." And that's something that you build by day, and every day you need to work on your communication skills. If you want to work somewhere, if you want to get a job, you need to be able to have that skill as one of your skills, because if you can't communicate, how then do you want to work with people? And so I'll be talking about how to develop a better communication skill. Communication is the exchange of information by writing or by speaking through a medium. And so when we talk about communication, we're talking about an effective communication, a better communication. How then can we have effective communication? Everyone has the freedom of speech. I'm going to be reading, everyone has the freedom of speech, but do everyone actually speak up, or is everyone understood? Communication is said to be complete or better or effective when all the parties take note the sender of the information, the receiver of the information have the same conclusion. For example, I say that I love you from this kind of perspective, and you're listening from that end. You need to understand from my perspective. That's when communication is complete. Communication is not a conversation. It's not me talking and you not understanding. It's you understanding what I have said the same way I meant it to come out. That is why we need to be very careful the way we speak, because we need to be able to communicate effectively so that the receiver can understand what you have said in the way you meant it to be. Complete communication requires a sender, a channel, and a receiver. For example, if I want to send a message, I'm sending a message right now. This is a channel on my channel, and you listening to me, you're a receiver. And so you need to always put that into consideration each time you're sending a message. It requires a sender, it requires a channel, and a receiver, and the message must be understood the same way it came out, the same way it intended to be. That's when it is called effective or better communication. Romans chapter 14 verse 16 says, "Do not allow what you consider good to be spoken as evil." Many times we say things and we may not mean it that way, and people understand it differently. Maybe we need to actually work on communicating what we mean. You cannot be talking to somebody, I'll be coming to that though. You cannot be talking to somebody and you're trying to be like, "Oh, I love you," and you're like, "I love you." The way you communicated it, your body language is different from the message you gave, so it confuses the receiver, and so the message cannot be complete or effective. And so we ought to be very careful the way and make our relationships not to fail, because a message sent with pure intentions is understood from another person's perspective. The person has his own perspective, and you have to make sure to communicate a message that will be understood from the perspective in which you sent the message out. That's effective communication. You need to be able to use the right words. Sometimes choose the words rightly. Communication doesn't just have to mean talking. It also means writing. It has to do with your body language. Like I said, you cannot be talking to somebody and you're meaning something and your body language is doing something else. And technically, we're talking about the verbal and non-verbal communication. Your verbal and non-verbal has to coincide. They have to be working together. You cannot be talking to somebody in this way and then your body language is saying this something else. You cannot be meaning positive and your body language is meaning wrong or negative. You need to make sure that they are coinciding, because many people check all of those things before they consider what you're saying. That's why face-to-face conversations is much more better than text messages and calls and all of that, because, or maybe video calls, because you get to see the person's face. I like my father who will say that I really just wanted to see your face so that I see you, because and now you're not listening to me. You're listening to me, but you don't see how I'm reacting. And I don't want to be able to say something that will make you hurt, because you're the one at that end. And sometimes he talks to me like that, because sometimes, yes, you need to see somebody's face to understand. Their body language will really explain what they are trying to say. Their words may not be able to express, but their body language coincided or put together with their words can really make you understand what they are trying to say. And so how then can we develop better communication skills? I think the first thing we need to do is to make the message simple and short or brief. And this is one thing about me. If you're talking to me and you're talking pretty long, if you want to say something to me, you need to go to the point. Like, say it very fast. Go say the thing you want to stop beating around the bush. And so to communicate rightly or have a better communication skill, make sure to make the message you want to say very short and very simple, and not in extra words. Like in linguistics, we said they taught us that communication, and it does not mean that you need to speak long words or cumbersome words or big words for people to get to know that you are educated. Communication is when you speak from the level of the people around you. You cannot go to the market, for example, and in the market, in a black market, you don't go to the market and you're speaking pidgin. In support market, you don't go to the market, you're speaking English, good English, I mean like Cambridge English. People will not understand you. But if you go to the market, make sure to communicate. To communicate means you use the language that everybody there can understand. You speak the language that they can. That's why it is good. It's not a for example, you go to another country, they are speaking Dutch, for example. You're going to Germany and they speak Dutch. You have to make sure to learn the language that you can communicate effectively. And because if you're there and you're speaking a language, say probably French, because English is a universal language, probably French, you will not be able to communicate effectively. But you need to learn the language so that you can communicate effectively. First thing, make your message simple and short so that everybody who hears will hear. People have bright brains, people have high IQs, people are not dumb. If you want to say something, go straight to the point. The second thing you need to do is develop listening skills. Communication is not you giving a speech, it's you listening and speaking, and you guys are in a conversation. Make sure to communicate. You listen. For example, somebody asks you a question and you do not even listen to the question. You're already trying to answer the question. You will not really communicate effectively because you didn't, first of all, understand. You didn't listen to the question. Third thing is your body language, like I said, must be in agreement with what you're saying. You cannot be talking about this and your body language is saying this. You cannot be talking about communication. For example, I'm talking about communication and my body language is weak, is down. No, it's not possible. That doesn't work like that. And you need to maintain eye contact. Look the person in the eye. It shows that you're engaged in what you're saying, in what you're doing, in what you're saying. So make sure to maintain eye contact. The next thing you need to do is write things down. I'm looking down here because I need to be very effective in my communication. I don't want to be saying things out of my head. Yes, I can try, I can do that, but you want to communicate right words, you want to communicate right content. So you need to be able to write things down so that when you're speaking, I have had many conversations with people. For example, I'm trying to solve a dispute with a friend. I write what I have to say to the person down so that when I'm in the conversation, I don't forget something, because I forget a lot. So I make sure not to go to a conversation without writing the thing that I want to say. So if I'm to talk to you about the way you acted with me, I will write it down. One of my younger sisters said, "Listen, you write everything." Yes, I write because I'll forget. And the next thing you need to do is think before you speak. Sometimes the communication, right communication is could mean silence. You need to communicate that sometimes. And think before you speak. Don't just talk out of proportion, just talk anyhow, or just talk to people anyhow. People listen to your words. There are people who are really hurt, and there are some things that if you say to them, they'll break. So you need to be very careful with that, and make sure to be understood. Do you understand me? Make sure to ask those questions. Have I been understood? Do you get what I'm, do you know where I'm standing from? Do you understand my perspective? Do you understand? If the person does not understand, you make sure to repeat it all over and try to use different words to make that statement. You know, sometimes you talk to somebody and the person is like, what did you say? The person probably heard, but the person did not understand. So make sure to speak in a way that you are communicating. And well, respect other people's opinions, especially in a conversation. If you're communicating something and people need to answer you, respect other people's opinions. Don't come out and say that thing you said is wrong. No, everybody understands things from their own perspective, so respect other people's opinions. The reason why you're not speaking is because you don't have content. So make sure to communicate. The only way you don't communicate and you don't have the skill of communication is mostly because you don't have content. So you need to be able to broaden your mind so that you have something to say. Because you not communicate, you don't have correct communication skills because you've not first of all worked on that aspect, and then secondly because you don't have content. Because when you have something to say, you will speak up. And you need to be diverse, read a lot of things so that when you're in a conversation you can communicate. Somebody cannot be talking about football and you're dumb. And that's one thing I cultivated in the past few months. I tried figuring out what football is all about, something I was not really interested in over time, but I learned. I had to force myself to learn it because most men are into ball, and girls even are into football. You cannot be in the society and people are into something and you're just simply blank about it. So you need to study, research, learn new things so that you can have good communication skills. And one thing you need to do is stand well, feel free. Whoever you're talking to is not a devil, is not we call it juju. It's not somebody, it's not a beast. So you can say what you have to say and nobody will eat you up. Have that kind of confidence in whatever you are saying. I remember in my days, I want to share something. In days in the university, we had to do expose. We had to expose on something, and actually that day we were just surprised. You know, one thing that happens with us in UB is sometimes they just call you up to do something. And I didn't really know the topic, but I knew something else in phonology, but it was kind of related. But when I was given the chance to talk, I just started talking about the phonology, trying to coincide it. I was not because they are not taught us the topic. We are not giving us time to research on it. We're just supposed to expose. And I was just talking, and my teacher was like, "Wow, what's happening here, Nganje?" And that was it. And we had an A for that course because of the kind of confidence that all of us portrayed. And that's one thing you need to do. Whatever you're saying is right. As far as you're trying to communicate to other people, you're trying to communicate your feelings. So you have to make sure to just say things and say it out, but be very careful, respect other people's feelings. So God bless you. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about discipline. Thank you.